Okay, we are back. Alex, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. I heard you for a little while, then I lost you.
Man, hey, did you hear? Did I come across earlier?
You came across with the music and stuff, and then all of a sudden you cut off over here on this side.
Yeah, technical difficulties, unbelievable. So, this is interesting. The whole grassroots mobile capabilities to me is just incredible, as long as you have a signal.
Here.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that we're live and it's here, and there's bound to be mistakes. Yeah, I am running a grassroots campaign and down here in the valley, and here in Cameron County, it seems like how they always mention it. It's always Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. I'm a red little blip of light in a big sea of blue, but it's becoming little by little a bigger and bigger and better bright light that I'm seeing, and it's a big red light right now.
What everybody talks about how the Democratic machine has just dominated South Texas for so many decades. Obviously you're dealing with relationships that have existed for years and years. If you're elected, how do you convince those Democrats who are there now, your constituents, that your way is the best way forward?
Well, my way is the best way forward because, like today alone, I spoke to a group of veterans, and most of them told me that they were Democrats. And I told them, well, let's see where this is going, because in South Texas, we don't have a hospital. We're trying to achieve one, and where my district falls here in Harlingen, we have the hospital being built, and it's become little by little, it's becoming a reality. Well, I told the veterans basically that we're Democrats. Look, this is what you have to look at. We have the Democrats that have been promising so much for a long time, for decades, that there will be a hospital here. But I told them, do you guys want those promises to keep on going, or do you want somebody that's going to be in the state that is a veteran going to fight for you guys in the federal level to bring that responsibility down to the valley, to bring it to South Texas? And I told these veterans, look, you guys enjoy the medicines coming in from the veterans, and you enjoy the gifts that the veterans give you, the Veterans Administration. But you have to look at it this way also. There has to be a way where you're going to have a change. I myself, how I've mentioned before, I am a veteran. I know what these veterans are going through. And I spoke to them it was 30 minutes. In those 30 minutes, I convinced most of them. I left them shaking their head, yes, I am the way, because there has to be a change. We've lost so much jobs here in the valley. So many companies. We saw in my area alone, Fruit of the Loom walked away. We saw Carter's walk away.
Why are they walking away?
Well, they just wanted to outsource to other countries. Most of the companies that were here, that we lost here, went to Mexico or to Central America or to the Asian market, where the Democrats themselves, they let all these companies go, and they let these big companies that had a lot of jobs. And right here where I'm at in Harlingen, that's where we lost all these companies. And what happened with that is that we became basically a market where it was going to be a welfare market, that the unemployment went up in the Harlingen area, in the Cameron County area. And then we started seeing Hidalgo County alone losing all these jobs, also all these different companies, Dickey's, Hager's, and these are big national companies. And then you see the close at the mall. And what happened is that we started losing all these companies. And I've been telling constituents, everything has a trickle down. Everything has a trickle down economics. We lost our stuff to the south. Well, there's companies in the north that are willing to come down here. I spoke to this company in Wisconsin, a soda company, that they're willing to come down here, and they loved it even more because when I told them we're a non-union state. As soon as I mentioned that light, I over the phone I heard that light bulb come on, and they were very, very happy. And they were like, well, if you win, we would want to branch down there. And there's other companies there's other Fruit of the Loom companies. There's not just one. There's other ones that they do make clothing.
So what are you hitting them with? I mean, what are you telling them?
I'm telling them that we can bring jobs to this area, and we don't have to settle for what we have. We can have a lot more. In South Texas, and South Texas, what I mean by that is the Rio Grande Valley. In South Texas, we're the beginning of the United States. We're the start, where everything starts. That's where we are here. For labor to be granted, for labor to be something that's going to be very special for them to be here, to get the jobs, to get the job trainings. That's what every company that has come down here has always given, the on-the-job training, OJT, and we have offered that a lot. We have Time Warner Cable that built here, and they prospered here, and they're still here. A big company with Time Warner Cable, a big call center. And what we did with all that is that I told the constituents, we can go back to becoming that kind of an economy again. We don't have to be the losers of Texas. We're a joke when it comes to jobs, because everything that we had here in the valley got outsourced. It got outsourced to cheaper labor, and that's what they call it. They call it cheaper labor.
Well, but the part of the reason that labor is so cheap is there's so many people willing to do it. That there's people that are hurting, so that they're going to do anything. I think so. There's a lot of illegal immigration issues. You've got education issues with high dropout rates. I mean, I talked to Joel de los Santos, just right up the road from you, or right down the road. Where is he?
He's just he's about 18 minutes away.
Ted Cruz was down there a couple of days ago. There's a lot of action going on. Are you seeing support? Are you seeing the fundraising? Do you have big networks built in? How do people get a hold of you?
Well, for me alone, I have my website. It's www.alexfortexas.org. And I have been seeing a lot of action happening where my endorsements have been coming in. I mean, alone, I wrote to you and I told you some of my endorsements. The big ones that came in were the Hispanic Republicans of Texas, the HRT, and also the Associated Republicans of Texas, which is the ART. Today at 5 o'clock, I got a phone call from one of my friends in Grand Prairie, and I was endorsed by GRIT. That's the Grassroots Institute of Texas. And those three endorsements have brought in so much attention to us here in Cameron County. I alone, for my endorsements, I had to go to Austin. I traveled to Austin, which is 6 hours away from here, from where I live. I went up there and I went to go talk to them, and I told them, look, it's about time you start noticing what we're doing in Cameron County. Ted Cruz was down here in Cameron County a few months ago, and he spoke to us, and he said, the immigration is an issue, but we have to control immigration, which I agree with him. We have to control immigration to have jobs. Everybody says that everybody comes from another country and comes to here and steals our jobs. Well, in a way, in a sense, that is happening, because they end up getting these cheaper laborers coming in, these people from other countries coming in, and restaurants hire them. Which I myself, I'm a chef. I would want to go into a restaurant, but they would rather hire somebody with less experience to walk into those restaurants. And something that we did have is that we have companies that have hired so many illegal aliens from other countries to work here, which is it's wrong. And I see it as wrong because I believe that there's more qualified individuals in this area. But one thing that happened with the administration that we have right now and the local government that we have right now, we're just giving out handouts. I go, believe it or not, I go sit at the unemployment, and I go sit over there where they get the Lone Star cards, food stamps, and the welfare offices. I sit there and I listen. I listen to what they're saying, and I listen to the people. This lady alone the other day, last week, she was there complaining because her benefits went from $900 to $700. I myself, I was like, wow. And something that happens is that I sat there and I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And I write down little notes when I get home of things that I'm listening to. And that's what's happening nowadays is that people from other countries come here and they have their children here. And that's something that we see here in the Valley. And they get more benefits than a regular person, a middle-class person having a job, working every single day to make ends meet, living check to check. That's what we call the middle class here in the Valley. People that live check to check.
It's a hustle. I mean, it's a hustle. It's
and that's
it's a willingness to not, but for every person that does it, there's 3 or 5 people that know that person that aren't saying anything. It's a cultural thing where it's like somehow it's acceptable to do that. You
see, for me, I tell my kids, my 3 kids, I tell them all the time that don't ever end up like that. My dad alone, my dad and my mom, what they did, we were migrants. We went up to Michigan and we picked pickles. Here in the Valley, we picked banana pepper, tomato, and onion. And we did it all in the fields. And then my dad taught us a lesson. The last time we went to Michigan, he told us this. He told us that once we finished the field, he was going to talk to us. And he told us, basically, I brought you up here so you can understand what it means to have $1. What it means, don't take everything for granted. You have to earn everything that you have in your life. It's not just going to be given to you. And that's something that I took to heart, and that's something that I teach my kids. I believe that we can change the system. I sat in these offices. I saw these people doing what they're doing. And then what's even past that is that I see in the offices, I don't know if other people see it, but MP3 players, iPhones, and all this kind of stuff. In the offices, the people that are trying to get the benefits have all these gadgets. Too.
Oh,
and it's like,
hey, that brings up when Hurricane Katrina hit, and a couple weeks after the hurricane, there was massive construction going on, clearing debris and redoing homes and things like that could be redone. And a friend of mine went down there, and he called me up and said, "You got to come check this place out." Well, I went down there and we set up a food concession vending operation there on the corner of Bourbon Street and Canal, right downtown New Orleans. And in the midst of all this crisis, where every hotel downtown was packed with people who were formerly living in the Fifth Ward and other parts of New Orleans, so now they're in high-rise hotels, taking mass, they've converted their place. But this is what I noticed. Everybody was walking around with new stereos, new gadgets, new stuff with price tags, and I'm like, man, buy some food,
exactly.
Save your money, get a generator, or something,
Yeah.
It's just a mentality of generations and generations of poverty-like thinking, and that's our challenge. It's hard to call ourselves out, but no one else is going to do it, and if it is to be, it's up to me. That's kind of my attitude. I hope you sound like you have the same attitude, and that's great.
Yeah, I do, because I sat in a forum. And I haven't mentioned I was a Republican forum. This when I first came out, and I was talking with my challengers, and I was telling the crowd, we have to change our way of thinking. We have to understand that here in the Valley, we just can't be giving out handouts after handouts after handouts, and we can't sell what the government gives us, and that's what happens in the stores. And then when I said I was Republican, that's where everybody was like, oh, this guy, the people were thinking the way I'm thinking. The Democrats were thinking the way I'm thinking. That's something that we have here in the Valley. We have a lot of people that think Republican, but they vote Democrat. And something that happened here in the Valley especially is that we had, how Paul Ryan mentioned, Jack Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was a great president. And we always say it because I heard it at the Texas Convention. If John F. Kennedy was alive today, he would be a Republican. A lot of mentality stayed here in the Valley that since John F. Kennedy was a Democrat, they followed the same footsteps as their parents. And even now, my friends that are my age, my generation, I'm 42 years old, I'm part of Generation X. What they did is that they're still Democrats, and I talk to them. I tell them, why are you a Democrat? I tell them, you were born Christians, you were born Catholics, you were raised Catholics like I was. You guys understand where I'm coming from. And I told them that you can't be Christians, Catholics on Sunday, but the rest of the week you're Democrats. And you have the mentality of being a Republican. Believe it or not, Duke, they have the same ideals that we do, that they want to change the economy. They're tired of people. You should see in the streets here in the valley. You go to any store during this time. You probably know what a tamal is. They sell you tamales, and they buy those tamales. They buy those tamales with a Lone Star card with the food stamps, and they turn a profit over. And for myself, that's what I see here. I don't know if you see it up there in your area, but here it's common. And even in the stores, growing up, my parents told me never take the grapes off the shelf and never eat the cherries off the shelf. Here in the stores, we have H-E-B or Walmart. The kids are walking around eating a donut and don't have to pay for it. And I've even asked the employees of these stores, don't you guys have a policy? Oh, we don't sell them anything. You know, I tell my kids the same thing. Don't ever eat anything that's not yours. And that's the mentality that we have here. Generation after generation has passed down that's okay.
So how has that led to legislation that you know, I know you would say that the Valley's somewhat been crippled by the decisions of Democrats, but you know, what is your vision forward? I mean, obviously, whatever you do, you're going to be passionate about. But like, what are your first steps?
My first steps are these.
Who do you talk to? What do you tell them?
You see, that's what I've been doing. I've been telling people, I'm not going to promise you anything. At the end of the day, I can promise you the sun, the stars, and the moon, but it's not going to happen. But this is what I am going to do. My first steps, I call it the 3 steps of taking over the office of getting elected. First step, getting elected. Second step, taking over the office. Third step, taking care of the people. Not myself, the people. What I'm going to do the very next day, if I win November 6th, on November 7th, I'm going to start making committees. And these committees are going to go townhouses. And they're going to go to town. They're going to go to the houses in the communities, and I'm going to ask them, what do you guys want me to do in Austin? What do you want to be done different in the communities? You see, my opponent that's in office right now, he's been there 6 years, and one thing he did, he went from stage 1. He got elected unopposed. Stage 2, he took over the office. To this day, none of us have seen him take over stage 3 to take care of the people. It's always been climbing up from that middle stage that he stayed at, taking over his office and never leaving the office. That's one thing that we're seeing that I want to tell the people. If I am elected, I'm always going to be around. I spoke to different churches here in my community, in my district, and I told them, let me set up a volunteer office in your churches, and if people have problems, I will call from Austin or whatever staff I have in Austin. They'll come down here once in a while. I'm not going to erase my district that I'm never going to come back. I'll be back as much as possible. And I'll take care of the problems that need to be taken care of here in my district. Here in the Valley alone, we need to grow. The mentality needs to grow. We need to be better than what we are. And I say that every single day to the people. We need to be different of who we are. We got to be more constant and be in the lives of our children.
But don't people, do you run into people that look at you and say, well, what are you talking about, be better than who we are?
You see, and that's what some people have asked me that. How can we be better? So break the chain of what you are now to your children. Your generation, you're not lost. You can still break the chain, but break the chain enough to the next generation that's going to come in after you. It's going to be better than what you have now.
Pave the way.
Yeah, exactly. Pave the way with what they have, because
raise the bar.
Exactly, and that's what's happening right now. They haven't raised the bar, and I haven't been hitting the country clubs, and I haven't been hitting the middle class families or the rich families. I've been going to the barrios. I've been going to the lower class areas, because I'm telling them, we need to change what you guys are. Because if you guys change and raise the bar, the middle class will raise the bar, and then the rich will raise the bar. If we stay the same as we are right now in the valley, we'll never raise the bar higher than what we are. But if we stay at the same level all the time, nothing's going to change. But it takes, how you said, it takes one person to believe that it can happen. And you have the same ideals that I have. My children are growing up with the same ideals that I have. My wife, her name is Marcy. She loves the fact that what I'm doing is that we're doing this together. I went into this in a plan that my wife and I, we prayed about it. And we talked to our children about it. And we talked that we're going to advance ourselves and we're going to be better for our children. And that's what we have. The way we were brought up is the way they need to be brought up. We need to raise that for them, pave the way for they can believe. And that's what my children are. That's the way my children are, that it can be taught. We're not going to stay at the level that we're at. The valley can grow. Cameron County, District 38, we can do better. We can set the examples of what everybody needs to do in the valley. And I can teach that, or anybody can teach that. It's that raising the level, raising the bar, paving the way, that is something that we need to do. And it just takes one person to mention it. And some people have been resistant to it, but at the same time, I leave them shaking their heads because that yes, it can be done. But they have to believe that they don't have to depend on others to get what they want. They can do it on their own. They can stand on their own 2 feet. They can climb up that hill, and they can make it on their own. And that's something that we need to do as Republicans. We need to teach the Democrats that it can be done. There's an analogy that one of my friends was telling me before he passed away, that there's a man hanging from a cliff, and he's asking for help. Well, the Democrats come along and they throw him enough rope where he can climb his way up out of that trench and climb all the way to the top. But there's a difference. The Republicans, we throw you enough rope where you're going to have to work for it, reach for it, and climb your way out. And you can climb your way out. Right now what we get, the government giving out all these benefits, more benefits to these people, we can cut those benefits. And I tell them, you don't need to take the full amount of what they give you. Get less. You don't need to do it anymore. You have to believe that you can do it. Because if we take it away, which we can set some kind of legislation that says, okay, if you don't get a job, we'll cut your benefits. Cut your benefits. And it goes with regulation that we can regulate all this. We can do this to the people where they can get jobs, where they can depend on themselves. And that's something that we don't have here in the Valley. People don't depend on themselves. They depend on others to give them what they want. And I don't depend on others to give me what I want. My wife, she works at South Texas College in McAllen, and she drives every day, dude, 40 miles from Harlingen to McAllen and then back in the afternoon. And this is heavy traffic in McAllen. I don't know if you've ever been down there. And
yeah,
she does the 80-mile drive every single day because she wants to go to work. She wants to set the example for my children. And I want to do the same example. I want to make it to Austin. And I want to set that example for my children and others in the community that can see that it doesn't take a dynasty family to get to Austin. It takes someone just believing in themselves enough to say that we can do this. We can advance. We can make it to Austin. I'm ready to go. I'm 6 days away from getting from October 22nd, from early voting. I'm already ready. I've been ready for a long time, and I've just been, and the excitement, it's really building down here. You should see the Republicans. It's the first time in Cameron County that we have 9 Republican candidates. 9 Republican candidates challenging the Democrats. That alone, I'm overjoyed. It's never happened locally. 9 candidates have ever done that. And alone, I'm setting more history because I'm going up against a dynasty family, and they gained the ART, HRT endorsements, and also the other one, the grassroots one. That alone is those are big endorsements, and those are, again, I didn't go get these for myself. I went to go get these for Cameron County, and that's what I am. Dude, some people have told me we've never met a candidate like you. Because it's not about me. It's about the people. It's never been about me. When the first time I decided to run and when I prayed for it in the Basilica in San Juan, I believed that it wasn't about me. I've always told the people in Spanish, primeramente Dios. In English, it means God first. I've always believed in that. And I've always believed that It's not. It'll never be about me. It'll be about the people. The people are the ones that are going to get me there by voting for me. And I'm going to make sure that they get that. If I do get elected, I'll go to the first stage of getting elected. Second stage, taking care of the office. Third stage, taking care of the people. And
okay,
that's
so
what, that's
I want to hit you with this. You've got 60 seconds.
okay.
Say something in Spanish to your Spanish-speaking, those who prefer to hear a message in Spanish. What do you tell them? Why do they vote for you?
Yo creo que en este mundo hay una persona que puede cambiar todo. Y yo soy la persona que sí, yo sí soy la persona que puede cambiar el mundo de Cameron County. Para avanzar para adelante, no para atrás. Yo creo en la familia. Yo soy veterano. Y yo, para mí, no es para mí, es para ustedes. And in a nutshell, what I just finished saying, that it's not about me, that I'm a veteran, and I believe in who I am, and I believe in the world the way it is here in the Cameron County, that we can change this little piece of the world and make it better.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you tonight, Alex, and we will stay in touch. We'll be signing off in just 5 seconds. GOP is for me, and we are out of here. I'm Duke Machado.
And I'm
Thanks for calling in, Alex.
Thank you. Bye-bye.